Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Lola Shefe. We are reviewing Ready to Love, Season 4, Episode 11, Unfinished Business. Before we finish our business here, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Like. So we're gonna recap. So pretty much we're coming right to the scene. Opening scene here is back to the what was meant to be an elimination date. So we have AJ and we have Kyra, and so initially he's told her, you know what, this is your last day here, you're no longer considered ready to love. But then he won't let go of her hand, and long and short of the story here is that he's having second thoughts. Truth is, this was who he really wanted. Alexis was his backup, but because Kyra hadn't really come out and said anything, he was still trying to play it safe and trying to play the game. But it occurred to him right in that moment that what was the point of being on the show if he possibly could lose someone he might be interested in getting a connection with? So he, asks her again, do you want to be here with me? And she says yes. So his main question again was, do you want to be here with me? And she said yes. So he said, you know what, I've changed my mind. Let's do this. I want you to stay. Just to mention, there was, a part where he was trying to tease out from her, what, so who do you want? Do you want to choose me? And she goes up into this thing about, well, she's not going to be, pressured into making a decision because when she chooses a husband, that's who she's going to choose and that's going to be her forever choice, blah, 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 blah. I just want to bring it back to real life that this was a dating show. It wasn't Married at First Sight. So the point of the show is to find a companion you find compatible to date and then continue. So they're not telling you to marry anyone here. So I don't know if that was just her having a princess moment, or she was truly conflicted and confused. Let's put it like that. I don't know. So it seemed a little odd, but she did say that she would like to continue the journey with him. And so then he's happy with that. So they're now going to, elimination date with, AJ. And to note with, the AJ and Alexis thing, when Alexis came in, off topic, but she was wearing less makeup and she looks really pretty with a lot less makeup. I think once she gets in touch with herself, who she is, I think there is a lot there. And I say this because I remember the interview, if I remember correctly, her ex-husband's name is D'Angelo. He had an interview with Lil Black Book, and he had such wonderful things to say about her. It was not meant to be like a slut interview. It was really just meant to be a really and it was just bolstered her and really made those of us who comment on the show look at her in a different light and to be honest, after this scene, I saw a fleck of that person that he described after this scene. Start the conversation, and AJ's doing what he usually does, where he's kind of saying a lot but not saying anything, we'll be in each other's lives. But anyway, he gets down to that I won't be what you want me to be, so you're not ready to love and it's time to go. And so what I know is Alexis, they say goodbye. But then in her scenes where she usually had the interview scenes where they have a little monologue, she's going into I chose you. So she felt like she got stabbed in the back. But the thing here is yeah, you chose him. That's not a guarantee. And that doesn't mean he needs to choose you. That's the confusion. I think maybe that's the mix-up she had with Ron. He chose her, so she decided to choose him. No, it doesn't work like that. Yeah, they can choose you, but you ultimately too must make a choice. Not because of their choice, but because of what works for you. She felt stabbed in the back because he decided to be honest with himself and choose who he really wanted. Yeah. So clearly there is some work to be done here to bring it up. And there's something she says during that scene as well, where she says, she goes into the person who D'Angelo described, her ex-husband, where she says that, she believes that, she seeks God in his righteousness, then the rest will follow. Yes, that is scriptural. But I think what she was trying to say was that, she said something about, if she begins to love herself and sees herself the way God loves her, then he will present that person that's right for her. Crystal, truth. And I think, we've had conversations about, maybe the lack of security or, or the false sense of confidence you might see in her, but she really seemed to appear to be insecure. And I think in that moment she's acknowledging that. And I was, when you have that moment of, clarity, this is not the clarity episode, but she had that moment of clarity. So she found something there. And I think hopefully she went home with it. I don't know what the reunion is going to bring, but she had a moment of clarity that I need to love myself and see myself the way God sees me. Then only then will I attract and find the person who is truly for me. She couldn't have said it any better, sis. Now I saw for the first time, and this is what episode 10, for the first time I'm seeing the First Lady, who she was meant to be. So yeah. This is meant to be the elimination week for the females or for the women. And so they have the ladies lounge and they all meet up. So everyone comes in, they're coming in, Liz sees Kyra and she's a little surprised, like, okay, I know Jason picked me. As they go into talking, I see that Kyra's still talking about how she still has some settling to do with Jason, because they still had a connection. They had a connection that she felt was so deep and strong, and then it didn't just evaporate. It didn't go into dust. And rightfully so. Liz felt some kind of way because the way she was wording or saying everything, she's now insinuating that, Liz was second best. So he went with second best. So she wanted to address why he didn't go with his first choice. And in this scene, and for the rest of the episode, as we discussed, it appears that Kyra comes off as a sore loser. And the thing is, it's the question, I know I brought it up before, what is the benefit of, when people say they want clarity, or they want to get some closure? What conversation that could be of benefit, of any use to her right now? He has chosen, right? He said, I choose Liz. And he's left you to either go with AJ or be sent home. What do you want to discuss? I know I've said this before. Don't waste your time talking about you need closure, you want this, you want to have a conversation. Don't do it. Right now she looked, I don't know, I won't say she looked thirsty. She looks desperate. She looks like a sore loser. She looks like she's having a princess tantrum. She's put herself in all these negative lights. For what? I didn't understand that. And as we go through the episode, I still don't get it. Like, maybe I'm missing something, but he didn't choose you. Whether he didn't do it, he didn't choose you, so what do you want to discuss? It's like taking an exam and you fail it, but you want to go to the examiners and say, why did I fail it? You can submit your request, but really, your time might be better served going back to study and taking the exam again than spending time and money trying to question the points you missed. That's just my time. I'm gonna ask some good questions this episode. She's like, you still don't you haven't made a decision. You're still interested in both guys. And she's like, I will see how the dates go. I see a little arrogance here too. So anyway, the whole purpose of Ladies Lounge was to establish that everyone was meant to have their last one-on-one dates, establish some intimacy and kind of, transition from just being, people dating to a committed couple. First date, Joel and V, they meet in V's house. The energy seems a little softer. Maybe some little sparks of chemistry here and there, just a little bit. So, all may not be dead. But the truth is, this is another question. How does one recover from a betrayal such as this? Because she was betrayed twice. One, both by him saying he picked Kyra when he was, in the gentleman's lounge. And then two, when he didn't, tell her. He didn't expose it to her. Somebody else exposed it. So that seemed like a double betrayal. And when these kind of things, it's like, how do you recover from this? Can you recover from this? And in my humble opinion, you can recover from this, but it will take time to rebuild trust and work. Like, if it really matters that much, you can. So is this what we're seeing? I don't know. It's a show once again, but it's a possibility that this could be what they're doing. They're trying to rebuild. She's ready to give it a go. I'm not sure where his head is at, but at this point, look like they're going full throttle ahead. So now we open into another scene Liz and Jason. So anyway, they go talking, and she, rightfully so, she discusses what kind of transpired during the ladies' lounge, and she's talking about how, she felt like, Kyra discounted, their connection, like played it down like it was nothing. So she did ask, I'm going to throw a curveball, if if she had answered differently, and he goes on to reassure her that, no, his mind was made up, and didn't take that long. Okay, so in real life, I believe that's true. When, particularly I think with males, most males, there's a situation where if there's a choice to be made, or if there's someone they meet, there's they're very clear on who they want to take serious, either right at the beginning or very early on. It doesn't take time. That's the truth. That's the truth. But in this situation, honestly, I feel like he may have been conflicted based on the edits. Now, I'm always going to use that disclaimer. Based on the edits that were, aired on OWN Network for this episode and prior episodes, it does look like he was conflicted. It does look like he was turning to her, particularly last week, he was turning to her to say, yeah, I want you, for him to then make a choice. It looked like that, sounded like that. So I'm going to assume that may have been it. But I think the point here is that he made a choice. He made a decision. And once again, I think men are good at, once they make a decision, sticking with it. They might muddy the waters, they might muck up a little bit, but they're clear once they make a decision. So I can believe that part of it, but I do believe he was conflicted. So, of course, Liz wasn't there. I'm not sure she'll take it because she's watching it now, but he did appear to be conflicted, particularly when he made that statement of being the soldier waiting for the captain to tell him what to do. Yeah, that looked like you're waiting for, Kyra to tell you, yes, it's you, or no, for him to move on. But that's not even the point of the conversation anymore. So anyway, he, comes up with something sweet, which he's good at doing, because he seems to have two sides in him. This really sweet boyish side, and of course that boyish side is always willing to please and do sweet things. So so he comes up, white roses, and gives the significance of the white roses. He's only given white roses to 2 men in his whole life. He's 36, impressive. And one was his mother, one was his stepmother, and so he's giving it to her, signifying her purity, her purity of heart, her clean spirit, just being a beautiful person, just all these lovely things, just these flary things that he has for her. I thought it was a beautiful moment. She was really touched by it because she felt like her purpose of this whole thing was so someone could see our heart. And I think for everyone, for all of us, we want someone to see our heart so they can see where we're coming from, so they can better understand us and, meet us where we are. Or we'll meet them, or meet somewhere in the middle, whatever the case may be. So, teared up. He was touched by it, and he says those tears were almost a confirmation that, yeah, you made the right choice. This is where you need to be. Another lovely moment. What I have noticed when you look at, Jason, he has seemed or appeared in some instances to move with intention. And he did say something like that he was dating because he's thinking about marriage. And every now and again, you'll see flashes of that yes, that's true. He's dating with the intention of, if this person works out, if we date, this could be someone I could marry. So the next couple, Amber and KG, they meet, they're talking, and right, understandably so, because I feel like, when he wants to address the kiss again, because when they talked about it the first time, last episode, I think, it seemed to be, they muddled through it real quick and then kissed again, so it wasn't enough to reassure his spirit. So it brings it up again, needing some reassurance, are you still talking to Ron? She, of course, says no. And it seems, he seems like genuinely relieved. And it seems like, this guy is really yearning for a connection, honestly yearning for a connection. And maybe a little too eager, or maybe because he seemed relieved that she said no, as opposed to still being kind of annoyed. I don't know if he should still be annoyed, but it looked like, to me, like he never went through the phase of what? Like there was no smoke for Amber, or annoyance really. Barely, like he literally kind of put it under the covers, and so because he didn't deal with it and buried it, it's still coming up, needing some reassurance. And I get it, but it just seems maybe he's a little too eager to to have this connection maybe quicker than it needs to develop if there truly is a connection. But then of course Amber realizes that she does need to reassure him, so she is reassuring him that, yo, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. And so he just seems so relieved that he actually brought tears to his eyes, and it makes me almost feel sad for him, like he probably has been through some trauma. Nia, I think probably Nia Gate not being one of them, but definitely has had some trauma in relationships, so he's just like, you know, almost expecting the worst but hoping for the best. And that, you know, that's kind of touching. Sorry, KG. But then he says something else that I thought was kind of weird. You know, they go on talking, he's talking about, you know, what do you call this thing? The semen retention program. So my friend here was just discussing the fact that he's either abstinent or practicing celibacy. Now, of course, we know celibacy really is just when someone is deciding, I'm not going to do anything for X amount of time, or if this, until I find someone who I trust. Like, you know, celibacy could be someone following like the 90-day rule, whereas abstinence is when you're saying, okay, I'm saving myself, I'm not going to do anything until I meet that person and we get married. So it's not quite clear what he's saying. So now today, Bryce saying that he practices abstinence because he doesn't want to, you know, he's trying to protect his sexual energy. But if I remember correctly, he had said in episodes past that, one, he didn't really believe in marriage, so why is he saving his sexual energy for marriage if he doesn't believe in marriage? One. And two, he had an interview, when was this? He had this interview, Dear Wifey podcast, sometime late last year. And he had also said the same thing, that he doesn't believe in marriage. So there seemed to be some double speak here, but people are allowed to change their minds. But yeah, I'd like some clarity on that during the reunion if it comes up. I don't know. We'll see. So going into the Kyra and AJ date, you know, I don't know if it's in the monologue or, yeah, it was in the monologue before, in between the dates, she's talking about, yeah, I really, really like AJ. I don't know if you're trying to convince me or the producer is asking you questions, but like, I don't think you're convinced that you really, really like him. But moving on. So, you know, because the truth is, like, if you really, really like him, I'm not sure why Jason is still part of your script right now. Like, why are you still talking about Jason? Why am I hearing you still talk about Jason? Why is Jason's name still in your mouth? I don't know. So anyway, Kyra, who really, really likes AJ, they meet up on a date. And I think what's consistent is she knows how to put her clothes together. She looked really nice. AJ looked okay. So they meet. Cute little date, But there's something he says, and you know, AJ has had this reputation for saying a lot of words but not meaning anything. But today he did say something. I think they were talking about the process of, you know, how everything is, how it's been going, what his thought was. But he said something that I thought was kind of made a lot of sense about regret. I'm gonna put it like this: he'd rather do something out of fear of regret. So the fear of regret, he'd only regret what he hasn't done, but he would never regret what he has done, even if what he didn't turn out to be fruitful. And lights flashing, perfect sense. I believe the same thing. Like, I've done certain things in life where it's like, me going back to med school was more out of a fear of, if I don't do this, I'm going to regret it. That fear of regret, because you can't change the past, so you need to keep doing it. So yeah, I think that I completely understand that. But even at the end of the conversation, Kyra did agree with him, but she still had the but. If I could put like red lights, flashing lights, mistake, you're still on this Jason tip. So ladies lounge, they're back again. You know, nephew Tommy's like, you know, so technically they're meant to be eliminating someone, 4 couples. They're meant to go down to 3. Anyway, they started off with just having 2 couples in the final, then went up to having 3 couples, and now he's like, okay, so I've got 4 couples in the final. Who am I to break what God has put, you know, God has put together? Let's go on and see how it works. So the meeting ladies lounge and lets them know I'm not, you know. So let's listen to about the dates. You know, Liz, you know, goes on to tell everyone about her date. You know, of course, it sounds really lovely when she's describing it. And as she starts talking, Queen Kyra, my good sis, chuckles. And you know how sometimes when you're laughing and you can't hold that laughter, someone says something that's really funny and you just can't hold it in. That's one thing. But nothing was funny here. So that laughter was rude and it meant something. And she meant to mean it that way. You know how we do something, say we don't really mean what we mean it, and we meant it the way we did it. She did it like that. She meant it. So I thought it was quite childish and passive aggressive as Liz was talking. But beautifully, Liz says, and I agree with that too. That's one of my things too. She chooses her battles. It's not everybody that's going to get smoke every day. I can save that smoke for you at the time. At your appointed time is when you're going to get your smoke. So at the appointed time. So anyway, Liz continues her story, and it was even what I found, and I hope Kyra's embarrassed watching it now. It got to a point during that chuckle where nephew Tommy had to do that. You know, when you're talking to a child but you can't talk, maybe you're in the choir, you're like, when choir master says this, that means close your mouth and hold that note. Don't say nothing. You had to do that to a grown up. I hope you feel embarrassed watching that through, because it was totally unnecessary. And for what? Anyway, we're going to keep going. And so it got to a point where I think she finally started talking about Jason again. And in that point, I was like, I want to tell her, bring down the NG, sis. He has made his choice. He has made his choice. I don't know if she said this, I don't remember if she said it in a confessional. She was saying stuff about how her connection with Jason, she doesn't believe that, Jason has a connection with Liz because, Liz has this thing where she's practicing abstinence, but, in her conversations with Jason, that had been nowhere to be seen. That conversation never came up. Kyra, you're smarter than that. I know that the guys can be chameleons. They will adopt the color of the room. They will adopt the color of the person next to them. They will adopt the attitude of the person next to them. They will do what's required to get into that space. But that's all you could come up with. I don't know if I could blame this on editing. I don't know. Nephew Tommy does say that, you know what? You probably do deserve to sit down with Jason if that's what you desire. That's not happened before. Why does she get to get a sit down with someone who chose not to choose? He decided not to choose her. Sometimes you don't get an explanation. You keep it moving. But anyway, she'll probably get this conversation. But right before they end that scene, I'm asking that a good question. She's like, so if you're still bothered by this Jason scenario, why did you choose AJ? So the date, we were like, well, it's not a date. Correction. The meetup between Kyra and Jason is now here. And, she starts off her monologue with, her disappointment in Jason has now become anger. Why? And so this makes me think, that, yes, she had been saying to, like in all the other ladies' lounge, like she, if the process ended tonight, who would you go home with? I think once or twice she had said Jason. But, maybe she had never communicated that directly to Jason. However, particularly towards the end. And this is what I think may have played out. So during the process when they went to nephew Tommy's house, and she had said, if the process ends tonight, who would you pick? She said she'll pick Jason. She, like a child who has chocolate chip cookies, but sees one of their classmates with the oatmeal raisin cookies that their mother made. They want to snatch that. And then what I mean by that is she had chosen Jason, but the fact that Alexis had said AJ now reactivated her interest in AJ. Because she herself has said that she'd never made AJ primary number one ever. She never made him the number one, at least verbally. I don't know, body language would seem different. But verbally, she had never mentioned AJ as a number one. But her interest seemed to have been sparked off when somebody else was interested in him and now made him her number one. So now the interest was sparked. So initially, she might have been definitely declaring Jason. But as soon as Alexis redeclared her interest in AJ, she started, talking about the two of them and now paying him more attention. So now it appeared that she had two people in the running, no longer Jason in front and, AJ at the back. And so I think also what might have muddied the waters for her, unfortunately, was that the gentleman's lounge where four of them picked Kyra. The fact that her milkshake brought them boys to the yard might have been a little too much of a heady mix for her. And she got a little lost. I feel she got caught up in the fever of all this choice. And I say this to say sometimes, you might be in a position where got the pick of the ball. Like, you could pick anyone, but what you shouldn't be focused on is, ooh, they're all picking me. What you should focus on is, which one of them do I want to pick? Do I think is suitable for me? Who deserves me? And I think that's where things just kind of got muddled up. Human nature, but yeah, you have to be calculating. Like, she just, sometimes, when they say, fame can be intoxicating. That could have been intoxicating, and she stumbled a bit because it appears that she actually really prefers Jason more than AJ. But she never really, I won't say never, she towards the end, particularly in the ranch, she didn't stand up and say, yeah, Jason, I prefer you. She was playing games like, I can't choose, I don't choose. Like, I thought at first that maybe she really was kind of, caught and wasn't sure. Or maybe, my reason was like, she really liked AJ, but she don't trust him, so she's gonna stick with Jason. But the way she's behaving now makes me believe that she actually did like Jason, but got caught up in the heady mix of being chosen by everyone, and the fact that if she could put her hand on someone and say, that's who I want, and then that person would come to her. And so she got lost, and then briefly forgot who her main interest is. Or another theory is, anytime she always wants what somebody else has. The grass is always green on the other side. It's one of the two, or a combination of both. Because she was playing it cool, like, I'm not gonna choose until the end, I'm gonna do what's best for me, and blah 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, he chose somebody else, and you can't let go. This don't speak well for you. You probably should have kept that in your back pocket and just nursed your wounds in private. Because either way, whether if it's either theory or both theories, it doesn't look kosher. They have their conversation, and truthfully, when he truthfully did not make his decision weeks ago, and he backtracked, he said, you know what, that my bad. It's true. When she was asking him, it's true, I did not make that decision weeks ago, because she was trying to say, if you made that decision weeks ago, you wouldn't have asked me to say, who do you want? And that's true. He said, that's true. But at the same time, he's like, what's the purpose of this sit down? What do you want, Kyra? Yeah. Do you know what? This is episode 11. I've been waiting for Jason the Man to stand up. Jason the Man stood up today, yo. The small boy is sleeping now. The man stood up. He said, what do you want? And she goes, then we're not going there. We're not going there. Queen, we're not going there. Jason, I was so proud. I was so proud. Now I said I'm watching like this in one eye. Now I'm just like, okay, all right, sir, I see you. I see you, king. That's what I wanted to see. And I think if he walks into that role, and everyone matures at different stages, different levels, but if he watches that video of himself and walks into that role and practices that muscle more, because that's exactly how he should have shut it down. He wasn't rude, he wasn't disrespectful, but what's the purpose of this conversation? Kyra, what do you want? What do you want? And I said, we're not going there. Queen, we're not, I was impressed. And so then she asked this question about, yeah, if I had answered you differently, would it have been different? Why are you asking that question? That's disrespectful to your good sis, fellow queen, Liz. What is the purpose of that? That's what I'm saying. It's so, you did not look good in this episode at all. Kyra, this episode didn't work for you. You probably would have wished they left this on the ground, but they put it up. It didn't work for you, because there's stuff like this that makes men feel like they can play us against each other. That kind of behavior. Whereas men don't do that. They have their little conversations. Like, look, think of it like this. Remember when, David said that Liz had disclosed to him right that night that, yeah, they had shared a kiss. And immediately, Jason was relieved. Phew, I didn't know how I was going to tell you. I didn't know how I was going to bring it up. David said not correct. We know this. But that didn't create any kind of nonsense like this. So, yeah, that question was totally out of play. His answer, the way he put it, he says, let me look for exact words. I may have been on the fence at one time, but I made a choice and I'm good with it. Next. You're the man, Jason. You're the man. That's all we need. Take control. And he took control. He's just like,
All I want to do is move forward in a positive light so I can retain the respect I have for you. His mother tried, and he's now growing into his manhood. I'm proud for you. I'm proud for you, sir. That is correct. I haven't removed the small boy things. You're pocket now. Small boy is sleeping, but you did that. You did it this time. I thought it was another thing that was odd when Kyra was talking, when she says, "Oh, I've made the decision for us to be friends." You made the decision. So yet again, this makes me, I haven't really broken down or thought of Kyra much. You know, she just appeared to me attorney, smart, knows how to play the game. She's this, she's that. But on the flip side, looks like she definitely needs to be in control, needs to be in charge, needs to feel like she's manipulating everyone, moving all the moving, has control over all the moving parts, and doesn't take to losing very well. Because truth is, if she, in her heart of hearts, if she knows that she was still stuck on Jason and wasn't feeling AJ like that, she should have let AJ send her home. Let AJ end up with someone who really wants him. But then again, AJ don't want Lexus, so hey, it's playing out. May the chips fall where they may. But at this time, it looks like Kyra is not really feeling AJ. I'm surprised. I thought she was, but was scared to go that way. Looks like she isn't. But she's just here for the game. And once again, folks, the game has emerged. Let's hope this doesn't muddy the waters. And that is the dating field, you know? Instead of letting the poor guy know that, no, sir, I'm not really interested in you like that. Because he seems almost earnest and sincere and wanting to build a connection with her because, you know, the prior opportunity, he jacked it up and he likes her, the silhouette or what she might represent. So we're not saying he's in love or anything, but he likes what she appears to be. The silhouette she shows, the face she shows the world. He likes that. That's a good look for him. And so he's interested in getting to know her better. But it doesn't look like she's interested in getting to know him. I'm surprised. I didn't see this angle coming, but this is the angle that's presented itself. And so now it looked like he'd be on the side about to be played. You know, so it's like, you think of this, with this sit down she had with Jason. How, if AJ and Kyra are still together, how would AJ feel watching this episode? Because to me, and I think to all of us that watched the episode today, it looks like she said yes just to say yes to stay on the show, not because she was interested in AJ. AJ was the consolation prize. So they have like a final meetup. It's not like a dinner, it's like a meetups where, you know, Nephew Tommy meets up with the 4 couples, they all come in, you know, and of course, Liz and Jason are doing their little cutesy thing. Oh, you ate my shrimp? You know, I want my shrimp. And I don't sound like I'm from the South. It doesn't work. But anyway, cute little thing. And Kyra's on the side, looking like Lucifer, trying to throw it like, you know, trying to kill Cupid, make a magic potion to change Jason's mind. She seemed really affected. And I like that she's honest too, because it makes for good TV. She's saying that she didn't think she would be, but she is affected by this. Says she should have spoken up when you had the chance. And I feel maybe some women have lost out like this. In the beginning, they were posing. They had choice. They had all the, you know, they had the suitors. So they had this, they had that. And then somehow got lost in the game, the intoxication, and actually lost the people they were actually interested in. So this may not be unfamiliar for someone who might have been watching, who might have gone through this. You know, I'm not necessarily mad at her. I'm disappointed, actually. Like, I mean, none of us are perfect. We're not meant to be perfect, but it's kind of sad because he was right there in front of you for the taking. But that's, yeah, I don't know. I hope maybe you can shed some light on it, Kyra, either, you know, off behind the scenes interview or maybe on the reunion, because he was right there. And the truth is, I do agree with you to some point that particularly at the ranch, he was waiting for her to say, yes, Jason, it's you. He would have picked you. But you didn't say that. You were playing. You were playing. Like a kid. Like, I'll put it like this. When a child is eating, if they play with their food, you snatch their food away so they're going to stay hungry. But if you knew you were hungry, you should have eaten. If you knew he was the one you wanted, you should have said spoken. There's a thing where it's called, you know, so you don't do the chase. You don't chase someone. But if someone is approaching you earnestly, you don't also rebuff them and, you know, just sit back and play a game. Because tricks are for kids. And now it appears like you were playing and you lost out playing. And that's unfortunate because he was right. And I think maybe that's what's driving you crazy, because you seem almost incensed to the point of not quite madness, but semi-madness. The way you're moving. Kojo's words, you're moving mad right now. And I think what's making you move mad is the fact that you had him here, right here, and you played and lost him. You lost him. Get your dignity and take it like a big girl. I think that's what you lost him, because you were playing. Because if you're is it just that you just feel clear now because he's somewhere else? You only want what you don't have, but when you have it, you don't want it. Because I thought you wanted AJ. Now you have AJ, you don't want AJ. You have some work to do. Like Inyala says, you have to do some inner work. All is not lost. Yet there is something. Not put your efforts together, professional woman. You've got all this stuff going for you. You need to do some inner work now and figure out why, what, when. So you don't repeat these patterns. That's just my 2 cents. But let's go back to the final scene where everybody meets. So everybody meets, and like I said, Liz and Jason were playing around. And then, nephew Tommy says, the next challenge or nonsense they want to play is they want the couples to meet the families. The families are going to meet each other. Not the families meeting each other, but the families meeting the prospective partner. See how that plays. And once again, Kyra says something about, she turns to, which I thought was odd. She turns to AJ's like, well, if my mother's not really a yes for you, I don't know if I can really be a yes for you. What the hell? And she, behind the scenes, or her monologue thing in the interview booth is like, oh yeah, she's going to need some help on this. Do you want this guy, don't you? That's it. Water? Juice. Choose. I don't know. Like, it's almost like she wants to now use this family to help her make that choice, to help her say no. Is that what she wants to use the family to say that? I don't know. It just seemed really weird. Like, this is what I didn't see coming. I knew that AJ preferred her, but I didn't see this energy. So, when stuff doesn't make sense, something is going on. Either there's something on the editing floor that's going to make sense, or truly, she only likes what's not in front of her. She always likes what she doesn't have. I don't know. So anyway, we're going on to that. Everyone's like looking forward to it. So let's see how this plays out. I'm kind of curious because there's a new twist in all of this now. Because I have nothing to say about, Joel and V. They're like, old married couple. Maybe there's chemistry, maybe there's not. They seem a little better. I saw them pecking in this scene and it seemed less forced. Maybe they're not good at performing. I don't know. I know she's not an actor. I think Joel is an actor. We'll see. So we know, KG and Amber, they've got their thing going on. But the other two couples is like, let's see. So, guys, this is the end of this episode. We're now going into the finale, which is next week, where the families meet and then they, somebody waits in the garden for the other partner. Is he going to come or is he not going to come? Or is she going to come? Yeah, we'll see what happens, how the families meet, but we really want to see what the finale is. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We're going straight into finale. And the truth is, even though this seems weird, it really seems weird to me, but this really happens. So stay tuned. Lola, over and out. Thank you.